One, you know me, hello. Hey, so many beautiful people here. Nah, listen, I really appreciate y'all. Somebody tell my brother to come sit down. All right, cool. nah, I really do appreciate you guys coming out to enjoy this day with us. We're here trying to introduce a product into the wellness space. My name is Flip. If you don't know, my real name, my mom named me Jeremiah Benjamin. Everyone calls me Flip though. I'm a metaverse architect. I build video games. I have a gaming studio, and the purpose of Rehydrate initially, I mean, I build a lot of other games, card games, shooter games, all kind of different stuff, things with like superpowers and all of that. But it was necessary, like when building games, I felt it was necessary to have sort of like a paradise of your own. Um, in Web3, I start building video games when Web3 like emerged. So in Web3, we have all of these P2s, participate to earn, play to earn, all of these different things. And it was like, okay, but what happens when you just wanna when you just want to get away? Like when you just wanna escape to something. And that's what made me create Rehydrate. Um B.Ware is a co-founder, and the reason I chose B.Ware is because okay, me and B.Ware we're a part of a men's group called the Giants Den, and we get on these 515 calls and stuff like that. And before we always ended the call, somebody would ask me, we're like, hey bro, can you do a mindful minute? Like, and he would walk us through like from the top of our heads to our feet. And after the call, it was like, oh, I was so much more productive, my boy. You know? Like, yeah, I was so much more productive that day. But what happens when I'm up at 1 o'clock in the morning and I can't call B.Ware? Like how do I formulate a product that gives me that feeling um when he sleep in Dallas, Texas, at 2, 3 in the morning? And it was like, all right, bro, we gotta develop. I can develop the world. Um I can create the scenery. I can create the framework that exists for you to deliver that feeling that I need. And if I need it, then I know so many more of us need it. It was like, all right, yeah, how many of us burn the midnight oil? How many of us is up, especially developing like just in Web3? Like we up all kind of nights of the hour, yeah, all kind of hours of the night and everything like that. I got meetings with people in London that I gotta be up at 2 o'clock in the morning for and stuff like that. So it was like, all right, let's develop a product that encases that can showcase both of our skill sets. Like me as a designer, a world builder, I can make the most beautiful world I can think of. And you, bro, you can provide a vibe that's like unmatched. Like I, I, I initially called him, uh, what was the name I gave you? The James Earl.
James Earl Jones.
Yeah, he was the James Earl Jones of the world. Like, you feel me? That's the Lion King dude, if y'all don't know. Like, yeah, Mufasa. Yeah, you feel me? Yeah. So it was like, all right, like I needed that. And what he provided, his voice was like an instrument. So it was like, all right, bro, let me do you a service. And the last point I'll make is that wellness people were sort of like the last frontier to conquer when it came to the if it was people that were against initially the thought of the metaverse, people spending time in a virtual environment, people spending time not being present where they were and going into another space to escape. It was like, okay, how can I build something that allows them to, because it's so much opportunity in Web3. It's so much like this is a technology that's not going nowhere. The metaverse is not going anywhere, hopefully. Yeah. So it was like, okay, I need to create a vehicle or a highway or an on ramp for these practitioners and stuff to be able to release their products like what does an NFT look like from a meditation leader? What does an NFT look like from a yoga? Like what is the utility of that thing? So it's like, okay, I'll build out a world that becomes the utility of that. Um, and yeah, that's how we got here. You, brother. You
Nah,
feel me? Yeah,
so nah, I appreciate you.
you got it.
First and foremost, like just gratitude for everybody like coming out to support us. Um, it's like a very yeah, you clap it up for yourself. Um, like we put a lot into this time, energy, effort, thought, intention. And so to have you all here, present, locked in, like that's a blessing for us. I'm B.Ware, as you might have been able to deduce. So technically, I'm actually an economist by trade, but I'm a meditation guide, yoga teacher, spiritual coach, if you will. And so I was honored to, well, you all honor us with your presence, and I was honored to kind of co-found this project with Flip because one, from a utility standpoint, right? Like make it do something, make it useful to people, give them something that they can use and not something that just looks cool or just, is something that they could participate in a fad. And two, because it's really an honor for me to stand next to him. And so you all are really like in for a treat because this is really one of the preeminent minds in the Web3 kind of development space.
I appreciate that.
Uh, no, for real. And I think it's important to, he's a humble giant.
Say that. I appreciate
Um,
that.
and I think it's important to like not only like acknowledge that, call that out, but like respect that. So we're not just doing things quote unquote as people of color, like we're doing things as like very competent individuals in each of our disciplines,
Absolutely.
right? Regardless of anything else. And so I'm honored to participate. I'm really grateful that you all are here. And yeah, that's what I would say. So like, hopefully you all have a great day of wellness with us and thank you again.
All right. The next part in this thing is you heard who we are. You heard what I do. You can see what I do down on the screen. But now you get to experience why exactly I picked, or I don't want to call it picked, like why we ended up doing this thing together. Um, I'll leave it over to B.Ware. We're finna do a guided meditation. So get as comfortable as you can in your seat and all of that. And B.Ware can lead us in a guided meditation. But give me a chance to sit down too, brother.
Yeah,
You
no,
good?
everybody, we're gonna give everybody a second to get situated, get stable. How many yogis we got in the building? Okay, cool. For those of us that are not, I want you to put your hand up in front of your face if you'll indulge me. Um, and so I want you to pretend like your hand is a mirror, right? And so you know that sound like when you constrict your throat and you try to fog up a mirror, like right. I know everybody brushed their teeth, so we good today, right? I want you to try to fog up your hand, right? And then I want you to close your lips. That same sound, right? So at the point in the meditation, I'm gonna invite you to do an ocean breath. So for us yogis, that's your ujjayi. But I'm gonna invite you to do an ocean breath. And so as you're breathing out, you want to keep that same pace, and then you want to keep your throat in the same pace as you breathe in, right? If that feels good. If not, I'll do a 3-part breath to start. If that's too much, you could just stay there. All right. Everybody good? All right. We good in the back? Everybody situated? Okay. So let's just take a second to arrive in our body, feel our feet as they make contact with the earth. And we'll just take a deep inhale through the nose together. Exhale, slowly release through the mouth. We'll do that 2 more times. Deep inhale through the nose. Exhale, slowly release through the mouth. Last time, deep inhale through the nose. Exhale, slowly release through the mouth. And as we sit, I just want you to become aware of your body. If you would, bring attention to the crown of your head. See if you feel any sensation there. Is there coolness? Is it warm? You take a deep breath in and release any tension we might be holding there. Now bring your attention to the jaw. Deep inhale through the nose. Exhale, relax the jaw. A lot of times we hold tension there. Let's see if we can let it melt away. And bring your attention to the collarbone, to the chest. Another deep inhale here. Exhale, slowly release any tension from the chest. And bring your attention to the stomach, to the solar plexus. And just notice what's going on. Is there discomfort? Is there unease? Anything that's there, let's see if we can take a deep breath and on the exhale, release any tension that we're holding. And bring the attention to the hips. The hips are like the junk drawer of the body. A lot of times we store emotions we're not dealing with, things that we haven't processed. Let's take a deep breath in here. Allow any tension to melt away through the hips into your seat. And bring attention to the quads, to the knees. We show gratitude to the legs. They take us around all day. They carry us. Any tension we might be holding, let's exhale and release it. I bring attention to the ankles, to the feet. Pay attention to where they make contact with the ground. And take a deep inhale through the nose. Exhale, slowly release any tension we're holding in the feet. And so next we'll start our 3-part breath. So on the inhale, the belly will poke out. The ribs will expand. The chest may lift a little bit. And on the exhale, the chest will lower. The ribs will knit together. And the belly will draw in towards the spine. So inhale, belly, ribs, chest. Exhale, chest, ribs, belly. Inhale, belly, ribs, chest. Exhale, chest, ribs, belly. Inhale, belly, ribs, chest. Exhale, chest, ribs, belly. And I'll invite you to keep that up at your own pace. And if the mind wanders, that's cool. We want to approach this with gentleness towards ourselves. It's nothing to be frustrated about. The nature of the mind is to wander. The nature of the mind is to think. So we ground ourselves back in the present moment with our breath. Now just allow the sound of my voice to become the soundtrack in your head. Allow it to fade into the background. So I want you to pay attention to where your mind is right now. Are you calm? Are you still? Are you still wound up for the ride? Whatever's there, just allow that to be cool. We're not trying to change anything. We just want to notice what's going on. And if you feel called to it, you remember that ujjayi or that ocean breath that we started at the beginning. You can start that now. It's a warming breath. It can energize us, create some heat from the inside out. So just allow the sound of your breath to fill your head. External distractions are an opportunity for us to focus a little deeper. So if there's anything going on outside, any outside stimuli, we can just focus our attention back internal, back to ourselves, back to the breath. So the spiritual and healing power of water is well known. And that's the reason why we decided to kind of base our world around it and call it Rehydr8. So our bodies are 80% water. So we can really liken ourselves to the ocean. So if we start with our mind, we can view our thoughts as waves. The nature of the ocean is to have waves. Sometimes those waves are gentle. Sometimes our thoughts are gentle. Sometimes those waves are intense, and sometimes our thoughts are intense. But if we start to sink a little below the surface, we realize that waves only cause havoc on the surface. So as we start to sink a little bit deeper into ourselves, we can start to find stillness, similar to going below the surface of the ocean. And if we start to sink even deeper, we start to get into a flow state. We can become one with our environment. We don't resist what is. We create distance between what happens and how we respond. You can release that ocean breath. Just allow your breath to become back still. Now, one more time, we'll take a deep inhale through the nose. If you feel comfortable, pause at the top. Exhale, slowest breath of the day. Now, when you're ready, you can start to wake up the toes, maybe the fingertips. Maybe some of that movement moves into the ankles and the wrist. Maybe we start to wake the shoulders up. Maybe we roll the neck out, whatever feels good in this moment. Let's take a second to stay present. Show yourself gratitude for coming to the practice. Giving yourself a moment of stillness. And when you're ready, feel free to open your eyes. How we feeling? Y'all are too kind. So I think we're gonna start the panel. So Amir, I think you can come up now. Shira, we'd love to have you come up. You good? All right. All these mics good? All the mics good? Are all the mics good? All right. Shira, we're gonna have you here. So thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, you can just go. No, Shira. Go bump down. We're gonna bump down.
How juicy was that? How do you feel? Yeah. I want you all to make a sound of how you feel right now. If your body had a sound, what would it say? At this, at count of three. 1, 2, 3. Let's do it. Woo! Woo! All right. Little fun thing. So, um, my name is Shira Lazar. It's an honor to be here with you all today and hear about your vision and be part of the possibility of it all. So, thank you for bringing this space together. Give it up for the hosts of this amazing event, please. Um, I've been in the digital culture space for almost 2 decades. I don't want to age myself. Okay, it's on me. And through a lot of ups and downs, building my own company, What's Trending, it led me on my own personal growth journey into wellness, and then actually starting my own wellness company during the pandemic called Peace Inside, to find peace inside, literally and figuratively, during that time. And we went from virtual classes with facilitators from around the world to building customized wellness programs for companies, their teams, and then companies that had communities. And so it led us into the Web3 space, where we work with companies bringing wellness to wherever they want to be, from Metaverse to Discord to Twitter Spaces, virtual IRL. And it is really exciting, the opportunity, but I think that it's also important to talk about the responsibility that comes with that and what the future holds and the leaders who will be behind that. And the folks here today are definitely doing the work, and I'm excited to hear from them. So with that, let's do a little introduction. First, I'm going to welcome right here on the panel, Mel Douglas. Give it up for Mel. Mel is the founder of the Black Women's Yoga Collective and focuses on education, access, and opportunity for people of color in the wellness space. Yes. Next up, we're moving on to Amir Madison. Give it up for Amir. Amir is a former professional football player, now turned yoga instructor. Amir is the founder of Yogi Athlete and is on the board of directors of Eat, Move, Motivate. Thank you, Amir, for being here. Oh, it said motivate here. Sorry, meditate. It sounds motivational though. So there you go. B.Ware, as you got the introduction here. But a reminder for some of the new people coming in here who might not know, is the co-founder of Rehydr8, is the leading voice inside of the Metaverse experience. He also founded Trill Consciousness, the spirituality and consciousness brand aimed at making spirituality accessible to traditionally underexposed demographics. So that's amazing. I hope that's right. You wrote it. Yeah, you put it in the email. And of course, Flip here, the founder and CEO of Pod Labs and 88 Ideas, lead architect designer behind the Rehydr8 Metaverse experience, one of the world's first Metaverse architects, and a leading mind in the space of Web3 and wellness integration. Thank you, Flip. Okay. So I want to hear from each of you a bit about your journey and what led you to do what you're doing and how it's evolved, really, because I think a lot of us start, like even I started, there was a reason why I started moving my passions for wellness into my profession, but how that happened for each of you and then led you to where you are today. I guess I'll start with Mel.
Yeah. So I started practicing yoga originally like at my gym at the Crenshaw Mall, actually, is where I found yoga. And so it was a very black space. It was all women's gym. There was just black people. The teacher was black, people of color. And then when I decided to practice yoga more and like I went out to studios, I was like, okay, wait a minute. This is a lot different than that. Like, where are we? I never see us, like there'll be maybe a few black people in class, but it just didn't feel like the same experience that I had practicing amongst a lot of people of color. And I knew that if I was seeking that community, like there had to be other people seeking that community. And just sort of right away into my own yoga practice, I knew I wanted to be a teacher, and I founded the Black Women's Yoga Collective. Just to create like a touchstone, like a little, light in the dark, like, oh, here's where like I'm looking for what you're looking for. And like, if you come here, we can do it together and actually find that. And that was in 2018. And it has since blossomed really, really beautifully. And we now do accessible classes, events. We do a lot of virtual programming, which is why I'm really excited to talk about this, because a lot of our community did come together online in a big way and in a virtual space where we're able to connect with people online that we can then connect with in real life in a lot of ways and build community in that way. I think it's a really great tool to build community. So that's sort of how I got here. I just really love yoga and Black people. And I was like, let's do it. Just go full force.
Awesome. And what about you, Amir?
Um, for myself, I started practicing yoga in around 2008. It was just something that I was doing for myself. At the time, it was still like super taboo. So I used to try to get like other friends and teammates to practice with me, and they'd be like, "Yo, I'm not doing no yoga. Like, what you talking about?" So I just took it upon myself to just. It was something that I did for me, for my training, and I started to integrate that training into my. I started to integrate yoga into my football training, and I just started to see the difference, like on the field. Like the game was moving more slower. I was able to become more composed. I was able to follow my breath and stay in tune with my breath. And then from there, I just started to see how it was helping me off the field. So I was just being more aware of myself. And then through that, through the years of training, my body's healed like I never played a down of football. So I had a lot of injuries playing ball, and I'm really thankful for the gift of and the practice of yoga. And in 2015, I ended up doing a yoga teacher training, which blossomed and sparked Yogi Athlete. And Yogi Athlete empowers athletes to um, reach their full potential through yoga and lifestyle practices that promote mental and physical wellness. So that was just something that sparked for me. I had no idea what I wanted to do after football. It was just like, all right, what now? But I was doing this practice, and I called her my coach. She was like my yoga coach, but she was like my teacher and my mentor. And she's like, Amir, have you ever thought about doing a yoga teacher training? I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm cool. And I started to do more tryouts, and through the tryouts, I'm like, all right, let me just give this a shot. And it changed my life. Like I would have never thought I'd be doing what I'm doing now. I say to myself all the time, it's like I was following my dream through football, and I felt like I woke up from my dream and found my purpose. So thank you.
Wow, that's powerful.
So I was going through, like, I got out of school, I was consulting. Um, I had kind of jumped into this entrepreneurial venture, and then from a personal standpoint, a professional standpoint, things around me kind of just all started to hit the ground. And so I felt like I needed a foundation, and I really just looked up, like, how do I let stuff go? And so, like, I was doing some weights, and then I had got into a little yoga program. And we were really like more of a meditation process first, and then I was like, maybe I could like have a moving meditation, and so that kind of um, turned into a yoga practice. And for a long time, like I just practiced by myself. Um, and from a healing standpoint and from a growth standpoint, both with like a kind of a Buddhist philosophy and or mindfulness, and then like a yogic practice. I was like, I gotta share this with my partners, like people around me, and so like I think there's a specific demographic or like a prototypical look or a prototypical feel when you talk about the wellness space, and like I didn't see anybody that looked like me, that kind of gave it up like me, that walked like me, that talked like me. Um, in the practice, right? And so, like, as my consciousness evolved, I kind of started Trill Consciousness because, those of you that know what Trill means, it's like, I'm from Texas. And so it was like you can be conscious but still be Trill. And so, like, I wanted to create that juxtaposition of those two ideas and still maintain an authenticity and a genuineness in my spirit and then in the people around me. And I think I make yoga accessible, like in my circle, to people that like might not be able to resonate with some other individuals, but also with a very serious integrity about the philosophical aspects and to the practice. And so I think the combination of those two things is served me well, and I think served the people around me well. So uh, that's how I got into it. And then Flip told the story, you know, we're in the Giants Den. So like that's like a perfect illustration of that energy, right? Like we on the Giants Den, like, hey, can we do a little meditation? Cool. Like before we get out of here, let's just do a quick body scan. You know, people start to kind of get turned on by the feeling after, and then you know it kind of blossomed from there.
Yeah,
And so
it's
now
like you
we're
didn't
here.
have to like have a wellness brand. You were just integrating it into a safe space.
Exactly.
Which I think is really beautiful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I start practicing game design.
How meditative was that?
Yeah. So
You are in a Zen space,
yeah.
a flow, you could say.
So alternatively, like I guess I was more so a consumer. It was like I entered into this thing being the user or the need, being sort of like my target audience, being the person that needed um the ability to recenter themselves or whatever at 1 o'clock in the morning. To I always reference that because I'm always up. So it was me coming at it from that perspective. So like I mean, I come from an architecture and engineering background, so I used to build 3D model buildings, like real life buildings and stuff like that. And then I thought like, oh, like there like I can build virtual buildings, buildings that never have to really be built in real life. So I started designing out like virtual buildings and everything, and they were photorealistic. And then the metaverse came and it was like, everything looks like a cartoon here, but like I know there's a way to build in the type of way I wanted to build. So I continued to just try and figure out, solve the problem. I think my biggest thing, or just to get to where I got to, was just figuring out how to distribute a really beautiful experience to other people. Being that I could do that, if I could do that, then I could create these different on ramps, not only for wellness, but for other brands, other mediums and stuff like that. So just as a metaverse architect, and not necessarily a meditation guide or a yoga instructor or whatever, just from a technology standpoint, my thing was, how do I build on ramps to help people to understand and understand and get in on this new wave that we're talking about when we talk about Web3 and stuff like that.
Yeah, and let's get into that, because how many people know what Web3 is, by the way? Okay, it's like a kind of 50-50, maybe like 60% of people know. Does anyone want to explain, like, when you could get into it, just like how you would describe Web3 to folks, and
Sure.
Web3, and we'll get into what that means to wellness in a moment.
Well, initially when I came into the space, um the biggest pull from like what we were seeing, like the biggest difference, what drew me to Web3 was this idea of ownership, like no longer having to deal with large the Googles, the YouTubes, and distribution centers. Like I could distribute my own, like in music, they were distributing their own albums. Tory Lane sold like an NFT for $1 and sold 1 million of them in like minutes and stuff like that. So it was like, okay, people now can own their own content and distribute it. Like Web3 gave you a way to distribute it. So I was in a spaces earlier this week and they described it like this. They said Web 1 was read. It was read only. Web 2 was read and write. You could interact with social media and everything like that. And they describe Web 3 as read, write, and now you can own your own data. You can own your own infrastructure. Like you don't necessarily have to go to these large corporations that sort of have a monopoly. It gives the opportunity to sort of reformat the landscape. So that's what I was really excited about Web3. But you know Web3
Yeah, it's like,
too.
well, I
Tell
just,
them,
I
Sharon.
know,
Yeah,
I just
tell
want,
them, Sharon.
you're the guest. I'm just interviewing you. No, I like to use that analogy too, and because I'm also on the culture side. Like, let's be clear, I'm not a technologist, engineer, developer. I wish I was, because we need more people like you to put our visions like into reality. I wish I could just be like, this is what I want to see, and like, can you just create it, right? But it's the industry coming up on the blockchain. So when you hear about crypto, NFTs, metaverse, it's all emerging from blockchain technology, which allows for these things. And it's interesting because I think when we think about digital and wellness, we think about our experience. Many of you like Calm, Headspace, a lot of our favorite studios that moved online or virtually, especially during the pandemic. And I think personalities and leaders emerging from social media. But I guess, and I'll start with you, Mel, like what is the future of wellness and digital look like to you and what you've been building?
Yeah, it's interesting because uh during like quarantine we started doing a lot of virtual programming, and there was like a really high demand for it at the time. I think I was teaching virtual classes for like 4 different companies, including my own, at once. But everybody just really wanted to work out at home, and like me too, right? I was going to them. And I started to see an opportunity for connectivity there that I maybe hadn't recognized as much when I was focused on doing stuff like where I was. Because the people we connect with, the people who are able to join our classes and our workshops and stuff like that, they are genuinely from all over the world. We have people write to us that say they joined from South Africa, from New Zealand. I just met someone who practices with us who lives in Haiti. Like, we're able to reach so many more people. And then those people connect with each other, and then they're able to really curate the community, I think, that they're becoming involved in a lot more, because there's so much more choice and accessibility to being able to go online and research, instead of just kind of having to go to your local yoga studio maybe, or like just go to somewhere that's around you. And then that, I love to see how that does ultimately turn into real life connection, because a lot of those people from far away will then travel to our retreats or things like that, where it's like you build the community first online. I think that's like that connection spark, and it makes it so much more possible. And then from there, you can take it really anywhere. And I think that's what I love so much about virtual programming in general, is that like there's just so much possibility there for what you can do different than only being able to access what's sort of immediately around you. So yeah.
And we forget, not a lot of people have time to like get in your car, go to another place. Like, it's also very overwhelming to go through these experiences sometimes with other people around, including if you feel like already you're like, this doesn't make sense to me and it's weird, right? Or yeah, I've experienced it before.
Absolutely. And I mean, if you think about the things that people are interacting with, like I personally have social anxiety or just general anxiety sometimes, and it is difficult for me maybe to leave the house. But I can join a Zoom yoga class and it feels more comfortable, and I can still access the tools that I want to access. Or maybe there was a time where I felt a little less comfortable being around a lot of people, and I was still able to share energy with people via like my teacher. She taught Zoom classes, and I went every single day to her Zoom class. And it's still like sharing space in a way, but you can moderate it a lot more to meet yourself or your time frames or what have you, like where you are. And I really love, I think building flexibility into your well-being practice is really important. I think being able to shift and flow with the different things that you're going to move through is really important. And I feel like the virtual space just adds a layer of being able to access those tools and your practice at any time that you want and really cultivate it.
Amir, what are your thoughts in terms of, I guess, the digital experience, and how do we even like level up from the Zoom thing? Because obviously that's what we're talking about is the future. And I think we're all even burnt out on the Zoom and video classes. But what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a great way for us to be more creative, just in our work in our everyday lives. For myself too, we started a online studio, and just being able to be global, like Mel was saying, being able to connect with other people around the world that you thought you would never connect with. And we've done the same on our platform, just meeting different people. So I think that's very important. As far as getting away from Zoom, you know, having Rehydrate, something like this, I think is something really dope to kind of immerse yourself in, like, especially if you're in that world of like tech world and you're just always in tech, you will start to create that monkey mind, that's just constantly thinking. So it's like, where can you direct yourself, take a pause, or know how to map out your day? Like, all right, I'm gonna go about 2 3 hours in, but after I'm done with this, let me rehydrate my brain real briefly and like really tap into a meditation, go into a tap in and take a yoga class, or do some lifestyle practices in there that will help you kind of be more aware of your, like, your mindset. Because whether we like it or not, AI is going to do what it's going to do. So we have to be prepared. You know, right now everything is, you got to pay for everything except the mind. You still have a free mind, like, for now. So like until they want to start doing some, who knows, God knows what they want to do. But it's it's great to be aware of the mind, body, and spirit, and stay connected. Like, stay connected within ourselves is very important. So um, but these tools are also really great and positive to use. So that's pretty much my take on it.
Yeah. And where do you two see then, yeah, the wellness and the metaverse and Web3, the blockchain, what's inspiring you as you're building? And then like share a bit more about where you see this going.
I think it looks like us, right? Like I think there will be more and more immersive experiences. I think as the education increases on kind of blockchain versus just crypto, right? And kind of the technology behind a smart contract versus, like the usage of it for like a profile picture or something like that. Like I think as those things increase and continue to evolve, as will the practice. Um, and I think specifically what I like about the metaverse, and specifically about Rehydrate, not a plug, but Flip and I always talk about like their life having this inherent balance to it, right? And so I think, to Amir's point, if you're techie, quote unquote, like if you're that type of person, then you've kind of systematically trained yourself to chase dopamine, right? And whatever it is, and however you are kind of accessing these technological spaces. And I think what we do is give you like a moment to snap back, unplug, right? Rehydrate, right? Kind of reset and then go back at it. And I think if you have balance, that can be healthy because um, uh, uh, a very serious pursuit can be a beautiful thing, right? But like if there's no balance to it, then I think that's where you get burnout. That's where you get kind of people experiencing the things of why we do what it is that we do as wellness professionals. And so I think that's what I see for the future.
What about you, Flip? Since you are, I feel like your Zen is being connected, which is like, I think it's like, it's difficult because it's like disconnect to connect. These themes come in and out of these worlds that we're in. So, what does that mean as it relates to the future of wellness in the metaverse?
Yeah, I mean, my intention was never to replace the traditional practices or how people access it, but like it was always to there's it's a saying that there's always, yeah, there's more than one way to skin a cat. There's a bunch of roads that lead to a certain destination. So I just wanted to design out like, okay, what does the metaverse way of this thing look like? Like, who gets to shape that? Like, that's the beautiful thing about emerging technologies, and especially metaverse and everything like that. There's so much stuff that people just have not figured out how to design. Like, it gives me like a empty canvas of things to like, oh, how will people do this in the future? Like, and not that like all people will do it like this, but there are a community of people right now. This is a community of people that are gathered here based on a specific certain type of subject that are in it. You guys brought your yoga mats and everything like that. Like, how do you galvanize that community to give them just another offering? It's not like no one wants to get bored in whatever it is that they do in a community. And I think every community should be offered different sorts of experiences. And I just think it's advantageous to me as a creative and a thinker, and it's challenging. It's the challenge of like, I don't even know if they gonna like it, but like, let me. You feel me?
At
I
least you
don't know.
got to do it,
Yeah, I
right?
don't know if they're
Yeah.
gonna like it or whatever, but let's design what that actually, or at least prototype out what that looks like. Like, let's prototype out what it looks like. Like, can people do yoga in the metaverse? Like, I don't know. You feel me? But I'm not gonna sit by as a designer and watch someone else do it. Like, especially if it hasn't been done. Like, I might as well try first. So that's always my biggest thing. Like, at least trying to service people, and I know that'll never leave me. Like, I would always be satisfied with that I tried to do
Yeah.
something that no one did. I tried to attack it, and I have a great opportunity to be successful because nobody's done it, but I also have the opportunity to fall on my face.
Yeah. Well, I think you're bringing up so many amazing points about just going after your dreams, and like when there is that clean slate, right? That creates huge opportunity, but also a huge room for failure. And actually, that stops a lot of us in these spaces from doing anything. So, kind of like, and you even in finding a partner, like if you find partners to do this, it kind of helps you in those moments that you're questioning yourself. And so that's what I would encourage too in Peace Inside Live. Like so many times you're like, what are we doing? Why us? There's so many people that are, have done it, but yet we had each other to bounce ideas off of. And in days that one of us were feeling like crap or down or it was impossible, another person felt it was possible and that leveled it out.
Yeah, and I think that was the biggest thing in creating Rehydrate, is not to, I couldn't have did it isolated. Like, it was this thing about building it and then collaborating to show like, now you have utility. Like, let me be the sort of framework for how you provide utility to wellness practitioners, whether they be yoga instructors, meditation guides, uh sound baths, whatever you doing. Let me figure out how to help you guys integrate into this. And like, and if I did it first, like, come on, like, all of us just come together. We all pull from the same community, more or less. You know what I mean? More or less. But it's a community nonetheless. And like, okay, help me provide some sort of, or help us provide some sort of utility to that community that exists there, that may not have access to this technology, or the opportunities that come along. There are opportunities that come along with this technology. Owning a Rehydrate, owning a metaverse, one of the preeminent, like, oh, this is the first mindfulness metaverse. Like, owning that thing, having the ability to be one of the first 8,000 people to hold that comes with its own inherent opportunity, to be like, yeah, in that community of things. But like, I just look forward to working with all kind of practitioners and everything, and that's the purpose of Rehydrate, is to how can it assist you in sort of accessing your community or engaging with your community in a different type of way.
Yes. So if you are a facilitator, if you are in the space, like one, I think each of you are like a person that you should get in touch with to either be in their community, be attending their classes, be possibly working with them as a facilitator. I mean, that's the beauty of it, is to find new places for that community, not just relying on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter for these things. These places that are not looking out for all of us, right? Like you want to support founders that are actually creating the spaces that we want to be in and to thrive.
The most like important thing as far as like what Flip is saying is it's about community. It's like how can we bring community in different aspects of creating, and everybody in here is pretty much on a like-minded type of space. That's why we're here. So being able to connect with people in this type of way, and then if it's global, say you want to go, say you're going out to somewhere on the other side of the world, and they own Rehydr8, and so you're connecting with them in a whole nother part of the whole nother part of the world. So I just think this is very like great as far as networking and connecting.
How do we make sure that I think this tech, AI, metaverse is used in an ethical and responsible way? B.Ware.
I think education. I think built in inherently into the technology is like a certain democratization, right? Like there's a certain ability to have a transaction or have an interaction with myself and another person and have no interference, right, in that transaction. And I think uh, the thing, in my opinion, the thing that makes unethical behavior pervasive is institutions, right? Like if you build it into an institution and then, or the fact that it is inherent in certain institutions, that is what kind of perpetuates a certain behavior as the status quo that like doesn't really serve us, right? So I think as people start to understand and kind of set more pure intentions for a peer-to-peer, we can call it kind of interaction, I think um, you empower, right, people to have these transactions on their own terms, right? And I think that's what, for instance, a smart contract is completely transparent and completely kind of customizable to whatever the situation is. And so I think that people have to understand it, and then people have to kind of find those communities of like-minded people to interact with to kind of keep that on the level, in my opinion.
And with that, again, Mel, I would love to hear your thoughts on ethics and more morality around using these tools. But then also, I think that also moves into accessibility, right?
Definitely. I think that, I mean, I see it like with anything in any realm that you operate in, there are going to be, there's like the possibility of power dynamics or like unethical things happening. And I think that it really does come down to transparency and like in openness in community. Like, I think that making sure we're creating spaces wherever they are, whether they're in the metaverse or like out in the world, where people are able to be open, communicate, speak up for themselves and things like that is just so important. Especially when we're inviting people into wellness spaces where a lot comes up. We're dealing with really like serious issues. More often than not, people are seeking like some sort of healing experience. And I think there's a lot of responsibility that comes with holding those spaces, especially I think for people who are trying to reach people who maybe don't have access to that space, and figuring out how to make it safe and accessible and affordable. And that's one of the things that I love about virtual programming in general, whether it's social media or online. Like, I love the idea of the metaverse because I feel like I said, you don't have to travel to get to it. Maybe you do have to buy into it and you do have to like have some sort of startup cost, but then it can be like in your hands, whereas you don't have to pay. Like, yoga classes are really expensive. If you do, I do hot yoga all the time, and I was in New York and I went to take a hot yoga class somewhere, and it was $35 for the one class. And I was like, absolutely not. I'm gonna just do yoga at home. Like that. And I just think about how many people cannot access that. Like, I could make the choice and say I'm going to do that or not, but I know that a lot of people, especially a lot of people who come from my community, maybe cannot make the choice to go pay $35 for an hour-long class. And so it's like, with being able to do virtual programming, the other side of that coin, of course, is getting like honoring your value as an instructor, a facilitator, a leader in the space. You want to make sure that you are honoring your value and getting paid for the efforts that you put through. And I feel like with virtual programming, because I don't have to get in my car, I don't have to drive anywhere, I don't have to go to a space, I don't have to cut in a studio, I can charge so much less. Like, I charge $8 a person for my virtual classes that people take. And I know that that makes it possible and even more appealing for a lot of people who maybe don't do yoga or haven't practiced yoga to just try it because it's just $8. Like that's something that feels more accessible to people than $35, right? And I think that's more possible in virtual spaces where you can sort of establish a space and then invite people into it that way.
Yeah, I think to her point, right? I think technology like allows you to create an economy of scale, right? And so there's like efficiency built into the same activity, right? Seen by 10 people, right, requires a certain amount of effort, but like you can scale it to hundreds of people or thousands of people with that same level of effort. And so I think you can afford to be moral, right? Like, cause like sometimes people might view themselves as like, I can't really afford it to be, so like I think technology, when used the right way, can kind of empower or at least remove the obstacles or the obvious obstacles to people, doing quote unquote the right thing.
Well, that's why I also feel like it's the responsibility of the places we're in all the time. So, what spaces are we in, right? So obviously, we're in spaces, unfortunately, run by governments, right? They have a responsibility to give us mental health services, which we know the U.S. Okay, um, and then also companies, the companies we work. Where are we every single day? And then the local communities we're in. Of course, then how do you provide the resources for local leaders to do that work? And then the spaces we're in all the time, which is hey, one of these, right? And so, how do you make it easier and more seamless? Like, and this is the stuff I think about to create a practice for well-being every single day. And I think that having it being gamified, like incentives, is really cool. Something to check on. I would love to hear all your thoughts of maybe each of you something that you've seen that's not maybe your company that is cool that other people should check out. Like Steppen is a model that I'm thinking about for mindfulness and wellness, where you can get like loyalty rewards and points for the more you do. And how consistent you are with your practice, and then you get discounts to your like local spots, right? Or it points that you get gives you something for free. So like gifting people for taking care of themselves, right? So I don't know if you each want to go and share. Do you want to start, Amir, something that you've checked out or seen recently that you think is really cool, or you're having your eye on?
To be honest, I haven't seen anything like that as far as how that works, but I've been like aware of it, of like how you can get into these spaces to like create currency for yourself. And I think that's really important as far as, again, we're adapting into this new technology world, and there are AIs and robots taking over jobs. So it's like, what does that look like in the next 3 to 5 years? It's like, how can we integrate into this space where we can adapt into a space where we can create currency from within within our communities. So that's just my take on it.
Yeah, Mel.
Yeah, I just, when I think of technology and I think about little rewards for doing things, I always think of my Apple Watch because I'm like pretty obsessed with my Apple Watch, and like the little burst of like affirmation I get when it's like, congrats, you hit your stand goal. I'm like, period. Even though like it actually doesn't mean anything, but it like creates this connectivity with movement for me, at least. Like when I can check my watch and I can see like, oh, I really haven't moved as much as I maybe normally do, or as much as I intended to move today, and it works as that reminder. And like maybe it'll tap me and be like, you haven't stood up in 5 hours, and I'm like, oh, you're right, I should stretch. And then I feel good, and it like works that really easily into my day just through the simple technology of wearing it on my wrist. And I feel like I also impacts my teaching. I can time my classes, I can change the music, I can check the timing. And so it's like a little slice of technology that I feel like aids my real life well-being practice. And so I feel like the more we expand these spaces, like the more of those little tools that we'll have that are technology based but really like enhance our like real life well-being. So I love that.
What about you two? Flip.
You
You
wanna
want to
go?
flip? You can start.
It's cool. I think I mean that's why we have. If you see any of those banners that's sitting around, it say sometimes you just need a break. It's that reminder that like even when like you got all of this stuff going on, like this week was a perfect example. Got a bunch of stuff going on, event planning, all of that kind of stuff. Like you still need to find time for yourself. So I think that gentle reminder, being built into products, being built into a brand matters. Like, hey, hey, just slow down. Like sometimes you just need a break. And all I'm saying is rehydrate is the perfect place to take a break at. You know
Nah,
what I
for
mean?
real.
That's all I'm saying. And so I'm saying creating a product to where yeah, people can identify that with it. Like, oh, I need a break. Like I can go to rehydrate. And you don't necessarily, yes, owning a rehydrate, coming to our metaverse, playing a game, that may be for you. But if not, like there's a YouTube channel. Like you feel me? There's different offerings for like how you get that break. It's just done in a rehydrate fashion. Like I use lo-fi girl. It's like a 24-hour YouTube channel. I just turn it on and I'll work to it or whatever like that. Like there's different there's different parts to like or how you access this stuff, and rehydrate to me is just a technology brand that'll explore different ways to get you to that. Like, yes, there will be these traditional ways to get to it. Yes, you can do a in person, in real life yoga session like we finna do today. Yes, you can do a virtual yoga session with Mel. Yes, you can contact B.Ware to do a virtual guided meditation, or in real life you can hire him to come out. But like it needs to encompass all of that. Like, but yes, we do have a metaverse that our community members can hold on to, what they can access, what it means to just be a part of that community of people. And like I think we do it in a unique way. It's a reason why I gotta a Dartmouth graduate from Dallas, Texas, with you feel me, with
You're
this
showing
heavy
off now.
accent. Oh yeah, I'm showing off for him. Yeah, no, but it's a reason why I decided to do it that way instead of like, you feel me, Matthew McConaughey on Calm. You feel me? Matthew is cool. You feel me? His voice is solid. I'm just saying, what does the rehydrate version of that look like? And this is it coming to life. This is what this event is to showcase, okay, what does it look like, this community? Look, if you just take a moment and look around, look at the people you're sitting next to, look at how we've assembled. I don't know if there's another wellness community that looks like that, or we're just a microcosm in the whole holistic, but we still like, this still is unique. This still, we do have a unique proposition, and that's all I'm trying to do, is service the community of people that have galvanized around what it is that we offer, how we decide to do it. And I'll create other video games and all of that kind of stuff, but up until now, like this is the thing that has meaning. Like it was a reason why I created a complete water world. And yes, water is important. I did find out the meaning of it, but like, all right, my daughter has autism. Her name is Journey, and water does something for her. It's like some things overstimulate children, and like water has always been that calming thing. So it was like, okay, I need to design a product that she can utilize, that makes sense for people on the spectrum and everything. So a game that they could go into and not necessarily feel overstimulated with different game mechanics and everything like that. So it's just finding unique ways. Not to say I won't do any of that other stuff, but I still needed to service a unique. It's like my embodiment of like this. I'm gonna use a big word, amalgamation. You know what I mean?
Come on, man.
Amalgamation you
Come
feel
on,
me? I
man.
heard you do the juxtaposition earlier, bro. You know what I mean?
That's it. You say
Yeah,
we're going
you
bar for
feel
bar.
me? Yeah, okay. Yeah, but yeah, just that amalgamation of like different reasons and different communities that you're trying to access and service. At the end of the day, like you're trying to service people to access something that they need, that they want, or something like that. So that was, yeah.
I think actually the more there more of this there is out there by leaders in their communities, the better. Right? We talk about abundance. What does that actually mean? Does that mean that one company owns the wellness space? Like that's ridiculous. Right?
Yeah, I think I would attack it from or approach it from a different way. Um I think what you said about gamification, and I think what Mel said about a reward, right? I think the marriage of those two things is like incredibly important. So like I'm really into James Clear. I don't know like Atomic Habits.
Yeah.
But what he talks about is like, or so I'll say, let me start with this. The foundation of like any significant evolution in my opinion, based on like our modalities, is practice, right? And I think another word for practice is a habit. And so what he says is like to really form habits. One, make it easy. Two, make it not only rewarding but immediately rewarding. So in my opinion, that's what gamifying it does, right? Like you do this action and then you're immediately rewarded, but we're just doing it in a righteous way because the action that we reward you for is something that will inherently benefit you. And so I think that's what makes us special in this way is because like there's a righteous intent and then there's like a very strategic and kind of time tested approach to getting you to repeat a behavior that is in your best interest, right? And I think what Web 2 has done is got you to very consistently repeat a behavior that might not necessarily be in your best interest, right? And so I think the dichotomy between those two is like what makes
There you go.
is what makes those is like what makes that like is like what makes that important. It's what makes what we're doing important. And I think is what will kind of service people and provide service to the people that we desire to to provide
Yeah.
value for.
It's also saying all the people here, you're building communities and companies. Like, do I feel like I could trust you more in giving me these tools, or am I going to trust just like a techie who sees us a sale or like me as a number for their data and their like algorithm and the capital? Like, I think we need to be building companies with people that are like have a lived experience, see the importance, and they're coming together with maybe doctors and technologists to build it together, because I think it's actually dangerous if you do it the other way around. Right. We are going to go to some questions. Before we do, I just want from each of you just like one word or phrase of like a wellness practice that you love that helps you in your journey right now that you want to share with everyone today. Starting with you, Mel.
Um, I mean, obviously yoga, but for me, writing, journaling, I write or journal pretty much every day, even if it's just one sentence. I feel like I love writing like anything. It doesn't even matter if it's random thoughts, like what it is. I just free write a lot. And I think it's really powerful to be able to visit with myself, like past versions of myself or versions of myself that were maybe experiencing different things. So I feel like there's a lot of power in just writing down your story, your experiences, like what's happening to you. Yeah.
Amir.
For myself right now, I've been really honing into meditation, just building my practice to before I couldn't even stay in a meditation for like 5 minutes. And now I'm up to like 60 minutes in a meditation. So for me is finding stillness with everything was going on and just keeping my mind clear so I can create what I want to create in this world.
Yes.
I would say meta. So meta is the Pali word for like love and kindness, and that's like the first aspect of mindfulness in like the Buddhist practice. And so it's been like very like I really like I just listened to Sharon Salzberg's book on love and kindness on the meditation, and it's like been really transformative. And I think the thing I like about it is it gives you a perspective that it doesn't necessarily mean things are okay, that but you can still approach them in a way that like is ultimately like really practical because it like keeps your mind still, right? And so the ability to keep yourself under control and like composed, I think has really been of service to me. So yeah, like technically it's loving kindness, but the meta, the poly word for it.
Yeah, I encourage everyone to check out the love and kindness meditation if you're having issues with your own self kindness or others around you. Amazing meditation and practice.
The one word that I guess I would go back to, I beach. I go to the beach a whole lot when the year when the world feel like it's, you feel me, crumbling down, or it's just too much or whatever. I always find my way to the makes sense, but I always find my way to the water. I always go to the beach, clear my head. Whenever I do that, I always find a way to just put everything into perspective and get back to whatever it is that I need to do, or to put away whatever it is that I needed to put away or whatever. So yeah, I'm usually going to the beach if I need to, yeah, do that.
Rehydrate.
Rehydrate, brother.
Exactly.
Dig it? All
So
right.
we do want to go to some questions, thoughts, anything you've been inspired by today. If anyone wants to, is there a mic, or should I just bring the mic to someone? All right, I could.
Maybe we do the wireless mic share.
Yeah. Anyone want to raise their hand? Does anyone? Okay, we have a question here. Say your name, where you're from, if you want.
China first.
No.
Oh, you just helping.
That's China assisting over there. Clap it up for her. B.Ware, I heard you mention a couple books that you read that you kind of quoted. For everybody up on the panel, what's the last relevant book that you read, and what did you get from that? Now I'm gonna take notes too, because I'm gonna put that in my audiobook.
I would say the most impactful book that I've read recently is Ask and It Is Given by Abraham Hicks. It is all about like the law of attraction and like cultivating the sort of energy that allows you to expand. And there's like maybe like 18 different practices in the book that you can use to like touch in or like shift your emotional scale. And I think that they're all really, really powerful practices. So yeah.
I'll say Conscious Capitalism. It's a phenomenal book, especially just what we're talking about right now. It's how to learn how to work together and how to get away from this pyramid scheme of being on top, but how to like integrate and network. So forgot the author's name, but check out Conscious Capitalism. It's fire.
I would say I talked about Sharon Salzberg, Love and Kindness. I would say The Mindful Athlete by George Mumford. That's a really cool read, and I think just basically like stillness as the base of everything you do, or like stillness before reacting, or not reacting, but stillness before response. I think can serve you in every aspect of life. So, The Mindful Athlete by George Mumford.
I think mine's is Who Moved My Cheese. Yeah, that's a good book. It's very short too. You feel me? I don't got. I be doing other stuff. So
It's a
it's like,
classic.
you feel me? It was like my brother was like, "Bro, this is a really good book." I was like, "It looked like I could get through this in about a." You feel me? All right, I could dig it. Hey, but it was really good in terms of just changing my perspective on like how to deal with change, like things that are out of your control, and just like preparing for it, seeing it coming, not necessarily fighting against it or whatever, embracing change. So that was a good one for me.
Yeah, rigid mindset versus growth mindset.
There we go.
Yeah. I'll just add, I've been going back to an oldie, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Yeah. So that's good for accountability, negotiation, leadership, all that fun stuff. Any other questions? Yes, we have one in the back. Oh, Sky. Oh, and then okay.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for doing this. My name is Sky and I'm a video creator. I have a YouTube channel where I make videos about wellness and spirituality. And through that, I've built an amazing online community from people from all over the world who want to talk about these things and get together and expand their consciousness. And so we've been primarily connecting on Discord, and we've been doing online events. We've tried different platforms. We built a space in Gather, and then they kind of switched their entire business model away from communities to more like workspaces. And so we're back to Zoom, which has worked for now. But I really see the opportunity in this space to connect these global communities through this technology. So I'm just asking for any advice on where to move to next, what to look at, what platforms to look at. Is it partnering with something like Rehydr8 to expand the way that the communities connect online in the wellness space?
It's definitely a good idea. It's definitely something that you should explore, and I know a guy. Yeah, I know two guys. Matter of fact, no, I think that's perfect. There's this new thing, not a new thing, but just this idea of like there has to be some sort of immersive way that we can interact, and whether VR is that, whether it's the metaverse, I think we're still exploring it. Nothing has hit the home run on like the next version of like, or the next iteration on like community. We do kind of feel like Discord is not like it is what it is, but like what is the next version of that? And sounds like that's your problem, just figuring out. And that's what we're sort of testing the use cases of, like what is the next form of like gathering a community? Is it inside of the, yeah, is it inside of the metaverse? Like how do you do this immersive, like how do I feel like I'm next to Shira when I'm not next to Shira, besides typing on a computer knowing that that's Shira, like okay, or seeing it. Oh, we got a sign that say time's
Oh
up.
yeah. Also, yeah, if you want to check out something other than Discord, I don't like. There's other chat companies popping up. Geneva's one. Bunch is another worth checking out as well. And I think the question is, how do you integrate our avatars and also video possibly? Because if you have a yoga instructor, you're not going to follow their avatar doing like these moves or something, right? It's like, or maybe you will. If you have like stuff attached to you and like they could actually move in the space. Yes, Adam's like, yes. Yeah, people that, but that's a bit more complex and you need more equipment for that, which takes more money and resources. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
Rehydrate is, I look at it as like the umbrella for wellness. So it's not like I'm here trying to pitch my space, or Mel's here trying to pitch her space, but it's like a space where it's a variety of spaces where you can like collaborate and connect with and just join other communities. So I look at hydrate as rehydrate as just like there's a plethora of different like wellness activations that you can tap into.
I could not have said it better.
There you go.
China, I know Chris. He can wait. I'll get.
We have one more question, then
No,
we're
no,
gonna
no,
wrap.
no.
And-
We can gather the panel downstairs for Chris.
Yeah.
He-
Oh,
Thank you, Chris.
damn.
No, he's important
No, I'm
like that.
kidding.
We'll gather all of us together.
I think that we
to
had
do it.
one here, and then stick around for yoga and all this great stuff here. Don't go anywhere. But I think we have, yeah. Oh. Oh, sorry. He asked before you. There was someone else in the back. Sorry, but it's fine.
Do you want
All right. What's next for everyone?
Rehydrate.
Rehydrate.
But go ahead, Mel. I'm sorry to cut you off.
And then,
As a mother, I've realized that there was a lot more than just me, right? And I felt like there was so much more to leave my daughter and the community around her. And so I really love asking people what's their why, but even more importantly, I want to know, and as V is going to be a father soon, so I'm really excited about that. India.
whoa,
Yeah. And I'm just curious, if it's one thing, what would you leave for the next generation? So further than your why, but what are you leaving for the next generation? This for everybody. This for everybody.
I need to leave. I feel like as a father, I feel the same way you do. I need to leave a world that that exists that like I feel like I can leave my daughter in this world and everything is going to be okay, or I need to equip her. I need to do both. That everything needs to be okay, but also equip her with the tools to be able to sort of get through whatever this world does throw her. But yeah, that's my thing.
Yeah, I think the most important thing I want to leave my kid is like a legacy of self improvement or self evolution, right? Like I think I find myself, the thing that I focus on right now is, am I the person that I want to raise my child to be? Um, and so to me, like that's how I most immediately impact what they will go through is my personal evolution in as a roadmap, right? So leaving them something so that they don't have to kind of fend for themselves from scratch. But mostly, but also equally or more importantly, like leaving them an example whereby if it's followed, like it's more than likely a recipe for success.
I don't have any kids yet, but I would love to have some soon.
Oh. Is there a special someone? Are they here?
And they,
Wink, wink, nudge,
Right.
nudge.
in due time. But, I think just healthy education, like about the mind, body, and spirit. I think that's really what's important to me, and hopefully in the next generation of how can we tap in towards ourselves instead of looking always out to something, or even when it comes to technology, is just like how can we go within. So I just think a deeper dive of the whole human race is just like connecting from within, so we can once we start to love ourselves more, we can radiate that energy onto others. So that's my take.
Well,
I also don't have any kids, but I am an aunt to 12. And I have a lot of little sisters and nieces, and I just want to leave them knowing that they can be nice to themselves. Like it's okay to be nice to themselves. I feel like especially as like a young black woman, I don't feel like I was really trained to be nice to myself or kind to myself. And I really just want to be nice to myself really loudly to encourage other people to be nicer to themselves too. And I feel like in that, like, you just leave so much more space for possibility, because when you're being nice to yourself, you can create more, you can cultivate more, you can grow more, you can heal more, like all of that stuff. Just the energy of expansion is so much better when you're just like really nice to yourself.
yes. All right. Well, thank you all for being here. Check out all their platforms, what they're doing. And yeah, I really appreciate you for being here. And thanks for listening.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I want
Give it up for our panelists,
I
everyone.
was gonna say, go ahead.
Oh,
Go
what?
ahead.
Okay,
Oh, what?
listen.
Okay. What's
Okay,
happening
we
now?
might take 3. I know y'all tired of hearing voices. We coming with the yoga session now. Everybody gonna go downstairs. We're gonna transform this space so people can come up here, do a yoga and a sound bath at the same time. But before you go downstairs, I do want to let you guys know there's a banner downstairs that identifies how you get in the raffle for giveaways.
All right.
I don't really want to hint the giveaways, but like, yeah, no.
You should be a part of this.
We
Like,
giving
you should get with
away
this.
some trips to some places that you
Oh.
want to go. You feel me? You don't got to sit in no class or nothing when you go or nothing like that.
Not a timeshare.
Nah.
It's not like a
what I'm saying?
cult.
No, you ain't
No,
gotta
it's
come
not
listen
like-
about
Yeah.
this great
Yeah.
offer, nothing like
Yeah,
that.
you got to pay some fees and taxes, but outside of that, nah, for sure. Make sure you tag yourself in the images and everything like that. But more importantly, one thing that has not been spoken about that maybe you can see everywhere is that Rehydr8 is powered by a blockchain called Near. We decided to release on Near protocol for good reasons and everything. And I love the ecosystem. I'm a part of their creator ecosystem. I love everybody there, but I do want to give Yadira 2 minutes. You guys got to listen to her for 2 minutes. Come up here and speak about Near. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Near. You
Thank
feel
you
me?
for
Yeah.
supporting.
Absolutely.
It won't be 2 minutes, I promise. It'll be less. Well, I met Flip last year, about a year ago, and I met Brandon last year in June. And to be a part of their journey and to see where they've grown and where they've taken Rehydr8 in just a short amount of time has been incredible. And I'm head of events at the Near Foundation, which is the treasury for Near Protocol, which is empowering all kinds of builders, developers, entrepreneurs to really just take that piece of the pie they want to really lean into and grow and flourish. So encourage you to really check it out, near.org. If you are an entrepreneur or developer, it's really a home that you should consider.
Absolutely. All of you guys,
Thank
if
you.
y'all RSVP, y'all gonna get Near wallets. I'm
Y'all-
gonna
yeah,
email it to y'all so y'all
Yeah.
can claim it and everything like that. But yes, we're gonna transition into the yoga. But when you go down there, make sure you find a way to get in that raffle. You're gonna have to do some call to actions. You feel me? Take a picture, tag somebody,
Post your story.
Twitter,
Just-
Instagram,
Yeah.
and all of that. But we're gonna give away some of those t-shirts, that merch down there. That's the simple tags. But if you do everything, you're gonna get a trip. And we got something else we giving away too.
Oh,
But yeah. It's a good
Y'all-
giveaway.
no,
You about to say something?
it's a chicken salad. Y'all better come get one of these. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But no, so definitely really special shout out, appreciation to you, dear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Like this doesn't happen without you. So we're grateful. And then I want a special shout out. Thank you to the woman making me a father, Chef Indy. Thank you.
oh,
So yeah, but go get in those raffles. Like I picked the countries. So like trust me on this. Like go get in those raffles for sure. So about 15 minutes we'll be
thank
back
you,
up for Amir
everyone.
to do his thing.
Give it up for
Appreciate
all
it.
of you. Yes. Thanks for being here.
Hey, we got something else to eat for y'all and everything
Yeah,
downstairs
so-
too. It's
yeah,
good.
it's more than finger food
Yeah,
now.
yeah.